Now, having discussed all this, let us move on to discussing about what is the purpose or what is the role of a management accountant. So, a management accountant is basically involved in three main roles, that is, planning, control, and decision making. Now, we've all studied this before, but what is exactly planning? Planning is basically establishing objectives, goals, strategies, and from our past, whatever learnings we've had, based on that, we try to make decisions for the future. We plan for the future, that what can be improved, what can be achieved, etc. And like we discussed, how informations are different at different levels in the organization. Similarly, planning is also different at different levels of the organization. There is strategic level planning, there is tactical level planning, there is operational level planning. And the main type of planning that the management accountants get involved are in the making of the budgets with respect to the revenue and the expenses over a specific period of time. Now, after the budgets are prepared, then comes the control factor. So once budget is prepared, we all know what our target is. So after the entire thing is done, we should able to be check that are we reaching our targets or no? Have we achieved our targets or no? And if we have not achieved our target, what is the variance between them? And control is usually performed in terms of performance measurements, such as comparing the variances like the actual versus the budgeted, financial and profitability measures, non-financial measures, and all these stuff are measured. So control feature basically helps you to look forward in the business and helps you to perform the corrective measures and helps you to correctively take actions on what went wrong and what didn't go wrong. Finally, there is decision making. Now, as we've also read, information is important for decision making. The decision making feature involves that there is always a choice between two or more alternatives. Should I put my budgeting marketing budget as 50 rupees, or should I keep my marketing budget at 100 rupees? It's a choice between two alternatives, and we have to decide based on what the consequences will be. So management accountant does three functions, that is planning, control, and decision making. Now let's move on to something known as financial accounting. You've all heard this term before and you all know what it means. It's basically the classification, recording of transactions as per various accounting principles, regulations, etc. And it is presented through the statement of profit and loss, statement of position, statement of cash flow for a relevant accounting period. Now, what we can see here is that financial accounting is done by the financial accountant. And when we compare the two roles of the management accountant and the financial accountant, we can see that the role of the financial accountant is much more clearly defined. It is very clear. He has a limited role, and his main role is to present the data in a legible format. Now let us see what the differences are between a management accountant and between a financial accountant. This is the quick summary of what is given above. Basically, financial accounting is done for external use, but management accounting is done for internal use. The financial data, whatever you prepare, your balance sheet, your P&L, is usually used to give it to the public, to the shareholders. But the management accounting, your planning, your controlling, your decision making is for the internal use. Then financial accounting is a statutory requirement. You are supposed to get your accounts audited. You are by law mandated to make your profit and loss in P&L. But your management accounting functions such as your planning, controlling, there is no law regarding that. It is completely at the discretion of the management. Then there is production of the statutory for the organization. So this is basically the financial accounting does what? It prepares accounts for an organization. Whereas management accounting use various informations and does decision making and sets a tone for in which direction the organization should move on. And financial accounting is governed by a lot of rules and regulation. There are various accounting standards which need to be followed. There is IFRS which needs to be followed. But the management accounting is not concerned by any such rules and regulations. It can be done in any format. It's at the complete discretion of the management. Moving on, the management accountant in the traditional way and the management accountant these days. The role of the management accountant has changed drastically. Earlier, the management accountant's only function was to report the results to the management. But these days, the management accountant function has changed. The management accountants have become more like mentors, advisors, and they are basically the value adding partners. They don't just assist in forecasting your what your budgeting and what your this thing will be, but they are involved in the business. They help us to deliver these results and thus have become an integral part of the business. Now, moving on, there are some supplementary reading which we are going to do.